Hello and welcome back to the SML podcast. This is Playing the Field with Field Journal 007, and I am your host, Field Journal 007. Alright, we are here. It is playoff time. We're talking about playoffs.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
So, a lot of interesting things going down already. The Dolphins versus Ravens, 34-18. The Ravens really didn't have a chance in that game. They just really kept shooting themselves in the foot. And like I predicted, the Dolphins did take down the Ravens. And the Dolphins are moving on to the divisional round. The other game, the Titans versus the Raiders. Raiders division champion, looking, maybe to cause some noise in the playoffs. And the Titans, well, they're the Titans. And even though they didn't win the division this year, they were still a 12-4 team and very impressive at that. They wound up dismantling the Raiders 34-7. We have two other matchups, which I'm taking the Cowboys over the Panthers. That game should be going down pretty soon, possibly tonight. And the Vikings versus the Cardinals. Now, no disrespect to King Koopa. I've only played the Vikings one time, and I would say the Vikings is more challenging than the Cardinals. A lot of outside running from the Vikings, really tough defense. But there's anyone that can take down the Vikings, it is King Koopa, because once again, you're talking about a guy that plays tough defense, and when he's on, he's very, very difficult to stop offensively. So that should be a very good game. I'm very interested in watching the Vikings and Cardinals. So let me know who you guys are taking in these games. Hopefully, and obviously, you have to let me know before the games are played. We can't cheat like that. We're not Prime. We're not doing the Game Shark. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about that. So if you move on to the divisional round, we'd start projecting a Dolphins versus Bengals and a Colts versus Titans. It's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting matchups there. If you take the Colts versus the Titans, you break that game down, it comes down to one thing: perfection. The Colts are 16-0. They would be 16-0 going into that game. So they've beaten the Titans twice already this year. But the Titans are going to be thinking, hey, third time's the charm. And the Colts are going to think, hat trick, lay back down. I'm moving on to the AFC Championship game. The thing is, I've got to take the Colts. The Colts have been to the Super Bowl the last however many seasons. I know the last two for sure. So he's looking to make an unprecedented amount of 3 Super Bowls in a row in the SML, and looking to take this one home for what would be like his 7th or 8th championship in the league. The Colts are very dominant. The defense very difficult. He's built a roster now. He was able to win the Super Bowl with the way the roster started in Madden, which is very crappy. Everyone knows that. And so that tells you how good Prime is as a user. Now he's built a team there, and they're very, very difficult to stop. So if you're the Titans, you're going to have to watch the post route and the crossing patterns. The plays are coming. The problem is he just does them, and he's able to buy time in the pocket, and he hits them. And that's what's very frustrating about Prime. He's almost predictable, but it doesn't matter because he's too good. And obviously the user defense, he's one of the best, if not the best, middle linebacker user in this league. The user lurk is very upsetting to see. You try so hard not to throw it, and you still do. So there's that. So I'm taking the Colts and the Titans in that game, if that is indeed the matchup and Madden doesn't decide to shake things up on its own. And then you would have the Bengals versus the Dolphins. That game is going to be interesting because I believe the last time they played it was 17-10. Bengals has built a pretty good team there as well. But the Dolphins went on the last time he was on the show, and he said that he was most afraid to play the Ravens. Now, the Dolphins conquered his fear, David slay Goliath, and the Dolphins beat the Ravens. So I have no issue picking the Dolphins to beat the Bengals this time, because I think the Dolphins is still a better player than the Bengals. The Bengals are a player that's trending up in terms of skill, and his team is they're getting better as a personnel standpoint. But his offense is not elite, and I think a lot of times the defense will bail him out, get him a lot of fumbles, just because that team that he's building is very nasty, very good defensive front. And the Dolphins, when he's playing his best, he's very patient, and it's very difficult to beat him. So I'm just going to take, if that does stand to be the matchup, I'm going to go ahead and take the Dolphins over the Bengals, and then you would set up a AFC Championship game, the Colts versus the Dolphins in the AFC Championship game. And once again, I think the Colts will take down the Dolphins. Regardless of who plays the Colts are going to the Super Bowl. That's the common denominator here. I guarantee the Colts are going to the Super Bowl. There's no doubt in my mind that Prime is going to go back to the Super Bowl. And if you look at the NFC side of things, of course, now I'm really looking in the SML crystal ball. I'm shaking this baby up, and I'm really trying to look deep in this thing. So when I pick the Cowboys over the Panthers and the Vikings over the Cardinals, the Cowboys would more than likely go on to play, probably the Bears would be the number 2 seed right now? Yeah, I think the Bears would be the 2 seed, so that would mean the Cowboys would go in to play the Bears, and the Vikings would go play the Falcons. I would take the Falcons over the Vikings, and I would take the Bears over the Cowboys, which would set up a Falcons versus Bears Super Bowl. A couple things to mention here. The Bears is a very good opponent so far in his first season in the league, but I don't think that he's going to have a good enough roster to take down the Falcons at this point. The Falcons has taken down a lot of tough teams, and he's had a very good record the last few years. He's a player that has trended up compared to his first few seasons in the league, and now you look at a guy that's a seasoned SML veteran. So I've got to stick with what I know there, and I've been predicting this for a while now, a Falcons-Colts Super Bowl, and that's what I'm still sticking with. Will I be right? I don't know, but only time will tell, and we will be following it here on the SML podcast with Field Journal 007 on Playing the Field. If you're interested in hopping into the podcast, just get Discord. That's what I'm using now, and we can do a little interview. We can talk shop. We can talk about the playoffs. We can talk about your team. Just whatever we feel like talking about, and just put on a great show. That's the idea here. One other thing to mention is the SML is in the Daddy Leagues elite teams, I believe, or elite leagues, whatever it is. That's what they announced this morning, and that's pretty cool. It helps league exposure for people that do use Daddy Leagues, for people that are looking for a league on Daddy Leagues. I've had one guy reach out on Twitter today, so it's just it's something that's good. It's going to help. Also, we got to keep mentioning the fact that the SML spinoff league, the Primer, still working on that, getting ready to spin that off. I was wanting to get it launched this season. Don't know if that's plausible at this point. Still got to take a look at the waiting list, see how many guys we have on there, get those guys in, see who else from the main leagues interested in doing that. So if you are, be sure to reach out. We'd love to have you. We'd love to get this thing off the ground and running before Madden 19. Let's see if we can get that done. I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to drop a like. Comment below what you think is going on with the league, who your Super Bowl predictions are. Follow us on Twitter at SimMaddenLeague. Be sure to check out a Prime Show and Meets Show on SoundCloud and iTunes. Sim Madden League. Be sure to like, subscribe, take care, and have a great day.